WWE's Chief Content Officer Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque McMahon, promised all of you an epic Monday Night Raw 12/1/2025. Did you get it? Did you get an epic Monday Night Raw? Not a good Raw. Not a great Raw. An epic Monday Night Raw, which means a show for the ages. Did you get it? Not only was this nowhere in the stratosphere of epic, it was somehow even worse than usual! And I don't even know how that's possible because it's so damn bad every week. You'd have to go out of your way to get even worse than the per usual. This doofus son-in-law calls this show epic, and it's one of the worst Raws I've ever witnessed. But that's what happens when you lose all of the part-timers you were relying on the past 2 weeks to try to patent those Netflix views. That's what happens when you no longer have those cheap pops. That's what happens when you don't have Brockton Lesnar or Jonathan Cena. When you don't have CM Punk or Roman Reigns. You don't even have AJ Lee or a Becky Lynch. You don't even have your SmackDown talent in the arena, Cody Rhodes, or even a Drew McIntyre. No, Helmsley was stuck with his original tired-ass Raw roster. A roster that seems, feels, is mid-card, because that's all Helmsley will allow them to be. So now, when Rey Mysterio is on this show, there's no emotion, there's no feeling whatsoever for Rey Mysterio. I don't even have a feeling and emotion for AJ Styles or a How to Train Your Dragon Ball Z Lee. I certainly don't care if Charlie Flair, a face, is taking on Rhea Ripley, a face, or if Gunther, a heel, is taking on Solo Sikoa, a heel. Liv Morgan is back and she says the Judgment Day is once again taking over Raw in WWE. Great! The boring, tired-ass 2025. We get to recreate that in 2026. Yeah! I can't wait for another year of non-stop Judgment Day segments. That's what happens when you don't have your part-timers. When the SmackDown talent stays over on the blue side. And this is the show that we all got. A show that was called Epic before it even began. It's going to be epic. Epically horrible. Yes. Now everybody used to hold Tony Khan's ass to the fire. Every single time he would say he's got a major announcement so that people would tune in, right? A little bit of bait and switch, tell you it's going to be something really big, and it's usually something that you could have sent out in a press release. But it ended up being the boy that cried wolf. Dude, careful, because now you're just straight up bullshitting your audience. So those same people that held Tony Khan's ass to the fire, I hope you start, if you haven't already, start holding Hunter Hearst Helmsley's ass to the coals. Because every week, he's telling you you're going to get a great Raw. Bro, you ain't even in the vicinity. You ain't even in the ballpark, the stratosphere, the realm of a good show. Before you talk great, pipe it down. Pump those brakes. Because Raw is all brakes, no gas. But now it's not even, we got a great show. Now Helmsley is claiming that we're going to have an epic show. Tonight's going to be epic! Right, I think I finally figured out the foundation to which WWE's bubble was built upon. And it's not wood or metal or some air molecules. No, the WWE bubble was built upon delusion. Delusion. Calling something epic when it's the exact opposite. Or watching a wrestling match as a fan and 30 seconds into it, after about 5 or 6 moves, screaming, "This is awesome!" The WWE bubble of 2025 is delusion. Maybe that's the era. Maybe it's the delusional era. Where everything is awesome! And every fan is Emmett. Yeah, Emmett from the Lego movie. Coffee, please. $37. Awesome! WWE ticket, $25,000, please. Awesome! They name the price, and there's the WWE bubble fanboys with their parents' credit card. Awesome! And Helmsley, the guy running these shows, as long as he has enough Emmets, this dude ain't changing for anything, man. He's got about 2 years left before he calls it quits. And by then, I've said this a million times, by then, WWE would have been sold already to Saudi Arabia. That's how I see this playing out. And I take it a step further, and I'll say it again, I've said this a couple times in the past. By then, Vince McMahon's new company, his entertainment juggernaut that he already created, I truly believe that TNA will be under that umbrella. So basically, Vince McMahon will own TNA. I think that's what they're already positioning for. But that's down the line. That's within the next 2 years. Helmsley will be out, but Helmsley will be out, and that will be one of the best days in pro wrestling history. But then on the flip side, Saudi Arabia will own WWE, so I don't even know what that looks like, bro. Can it get worse than this? Can it get worse than this Raw 12/1/25? Because this is the Amplified review. And we're about to go over this show. And I'm telling you right now, if you're new to the channel, there's no sugarcoating or shilling on this, man. We're going to hold Helmsley's ass to the coals because this show was so damn bad. Extra bad. Epically bad. So you want to say when Saudi Arabia owned it, bro, that's it. Then it's done. Guys, it's already done. Don't you understand pro wrestling? WWE under Hunter Hearst Helmsley is done. It's done. We all agree this was the worst creative year in WWE's history. Who do you blame for that, man? If that is any profession, they would be fired, right? If a manager of a company or the boss of a company runs the company into the ground from top to bottom, a failure creatively, they would be kicked out. Das Boot. But not in WWE. Oh, no. Even though we've just had the worst creative year imaginable. Next month, when we start a new year, it's the same guy in charge. And what are we getting as we go into the new year? Rey Mysterio, Logan Paul feuds. The same thing we've seen since WrestleMania 38 when they had the mixed tag match. And then we've seen them a bunch of times one-on-one already. But let's start the new year off with it. Let's start the new year off with the Kabukis versus Lyra and Bailey and Roxy and Raquel. Start the new year off teasing Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns for a third time at WrestleMania. Yeah, that's going to be good. Hey, let's tease Austin Theory versus CM Punk. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Austin Theory. Hey, can I get Grayson Waller versus Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns, and Grayson Waller. Come on, what's next? You gonna give me Tozawa versus Brock Lesnar for the world title in the main event of SummerSlam? Yeah, but basically Tozawa earned it, man. Tozawa's been putting in the work, man. He's always been good. He just needs the chance, man. Sure, I'm sure you could say that about the entire roster. I understand. Everybody works hard. Everybody has deserved or earned a chance. I get it. They're not in the position, so you can't just thrust them there. That's why Austin Theory, whether he has a mask on or he doesn't have a mask, should not be finishing the Survivor Series, should not be deciding a War Games match, and that's how the fans are going home. No, Austin Theory has not been booked for that position. Baby steps. There's levels to this. Right, when we told Helmsley, dude, it's gotten so bad, you have done so bad that now it's going to take baby steps to get back on track, but at least we will be headed in the right direction. And Helmsley goes, baby steps? And he books Jey Uso to pick up actual babies. No, put the baby. That's not what we're saying. So we all knew this wasn't going to be an epic show just because Numbnuts said it was going to be. The doofus son-in-law can't even produce a good show. You're going to go from really bad to epic? No, highly unlikely. Impossible. But when he said that, you're thinking, okay, he's got like one cheap pop or something that is going to be the big story. And that's why he's saying this is going to be epic, right? You're thinking there's this one thing that he has up his sleeve. And guys, when the show went off the air, you were like, whoa, that was a legit, it was a legit just straight up lie. Just to try to get the viewership. At least like when Tony Khan would say, I got a big announcement, it would be an announcement. It just wouldn't be big, right? It would be something you would just put in a press release. A little bit of bait and switch, right? Tune in thinking you're going to get one thing or hear something, and you get something totally different, and you're like, seriously, dude. But with Helmsley, he just said, you got to tune in tonight. It's going to be an epic Raw. And when the show went off the air, you go, wait, this was even worse than usual. Let's get into it, because I know a lot of you guys don't catch the show. I say this every single week like a broken record. You go, BC, I didn't catch it. Thank you for watching this garbage for me. You are welcome, I always tell you, because it is a chore. It is exhausting. It has become nauseating to watch a Monday Night Raw every Monday. But I know a lot of you guys don't catch the show. So you have to, because this is what happened. It was a show full of faces versus faces, heels versus heels, and no direction for anybody. I can't make that up. Over 20 minutes of Solo Sikoa versus Gunther, heel versus heel, so nobody wins. The start of the show was setting up a faces versus faces tag match with Io, Rhea, Charlie, and Alexa. And at the end of the show, that's what you got. Faces versus faces between the women's War Games team. Nobody gets elevated when you split your audience. And this is how the doofus son-in-law books. This is what I mean. This is why I say I've never seen booking this bad. In 100 lifetimes, you will not see booking this bad. And I don't want to hear, what about Tony Khan, Beasley? What about Vince Russo and WCW, Beasley? What about Danny Dipshit Guggenheimer at the local bingo hall, Beasley? I don't care. Hunter Hearst Helmsley is the worst booker I've ever seen. Because not only does it not make sense, it is downright tragic for the talent. Forget the fact that it's not fun, entertaining, intriguing, captivating for the fan. No, it's the opposite. But for the talent, it's detrimental. None of this booking is beneficial to the talent, only detrimental. Because he just has them face other faces or face other heels. So you're going to get out-heeled eventually. And if you are able to out-heel the other heel, then I feel bad for that heel. Or if you're able to outface the other face and they got a better reaction, why would you do that to the other face? Last night, that's all you got. I am telling you in the cold open teaser. Jey Uso versus LA Knight. Charlie and Alexa versus Rhea and Io. Solo Sikoa versus Gunther. You even had AJ Styles and How to Train Your Dragon Ball Z Elite issue a tag team title matchup next week to the Viking Adventure Experience. Faces versus faces. The whole show, all of these shows lately. How did Survivor Series end? With Roman, Cody, and CM Punk bickering as if it's going to be a triple threat. Or maybe Cody versus Roman Part 18 with CM Punk as the special guest referee. Who knows? But it ended with all the faces bickering. This is where we are at. Helmsley is just making sure nobody can get over. Because if the characters don't have an identity to them, if there's no identity to the characters, nobody can truly invest in them. Because we don't know what they stand for, what they are. You can't be a truly great heel if you're constantly in there with other heels, and sometimes even getting out-heeled. I mean, you saw Gunther getting beat up by MFTs last night. The heels were beating up the heel. It gives you a headache. It gives you a headache. Raw will induce migraines. The definition of a migraine is like 15 headaches in a month. Well, you can count at least 4 of them for every single Monday night on Raw. And if you want to add the SmackDowns, that's another 4. So that's 8. Add a PLE or a special event as well, you're up to about 9 or 10. So WWE by itself could be a leading cause for migraines. We may have just had a medical breakthrough, folks. A medical breakthrough! Yeah, I'm extra amplified. Faces versus faces, heels versus heels. I cannot tell. It is one of my. It's now. I believe this is my biggest pet peeve in pro wrestling. Not even the handshake anymore. That was the mutual respect handshake, as if we're all just in a great big athletic competition, a scripted, pre-planned wrestling show, and we have to find out who the better person is. Let's shake hands afterwards. We don't need a storyline. AJ Styles has already made that clear. You don't need a storyline. We're gonna put on a match. Shake hands and you guys will yell, "That's awesome!" Like a bunch of demented seals. I am just enraged that something we all grew up loving and watching and grasping onto is being ran into the ground by an absolute Nimrod, an imbecile, an actual real-life doofus. When it comes to professional wrestling, this is a guy that everybody used to anoint as a good mind in the wrestling business. Helmsley really understands the wrestling business. No, he doesn't. He attached his big schnoz up the ass of Vince and Kennedy McMahon, and he married the boss's daughter, and now he runs it all. Let's stop acting like this dude was smart. And NXT, he had William Regal and Dusty Rhodes. Stop! Stop blowing smoke up the ass of the dude that is destroying what we all grew up watching. Because that's what he's doing, man. This isn't just bad anymore. Can we just tell the truth? Look at this booking. It's a whole night of heels versus heels and faces versus faces. That's not fun. The hell are we watching? There's not even a purpose anymore. It's like before every show, he just puts the roster up and he just starts throwing salami and ham and bologna. And wherever it sticks, that's the matchups. There's no continuity, there's no consistency, there's no purpose, rhyme, or reason. The doofus son-in-law is just doing doofus son-in-law things. This is like plucking one of the worst employees at a company, the worst, and just anointing him the boss. That's the equivalent. That's what happened. It's the same doofus with his little golden shovel when he was a wrestler. It's the same Nimrod, just with a suit and a tie now. No, he's destroying this, man. Watch this show. What are we doing? What are we watching? What is happening in WWE? I can't even fathom it anymore. I don't know what's happening. I got Gunther and Solo for 20 minutes. Why? 16 times I asked myself. I put the fucking paper in the pad down, and I had asked myself, what am I watching? For 20 plus minutes and 3 commercial breaks. That's a true story, by the way. Solo and Gunther. I'd have a better time if I find a brick wall and keep pounding my head on it, or if I throw myself into traffic when a Mack truck is coming from the left and a school bus on the right, and I go, it's gotta be better than Raw. All right. Let's tone it down. Let BC get a swig of coffee, and I want to start from the jump. That's just the cold open teaser. I've had 6 coffees already. I am amplified! All right, more coffee, BC. All right, so Raw 12/1/2025. What am I talking about in this 5-hour cold open? Well, Q1, segment 1. We spent 15 minutes with Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, and Charlie Flair setting up a main event against each other. Yep, that's what happened. Faces versus faces. Splitting your audience later in the night between these 4 ladies. And the trained seals, aka the fans in attendance, by the way, a lot of them bursted out in a yes chant. This is what I mean about the vicious cycle, right? Helmsley keeps producing this absolute garbage is an understatement. But this material that was made for the toilet, he keeps distributing it. And these, quote, fans, the Bubble Boys, the, quote, universe, they eat it up. And they just busted out in a yes chant. And I'm like, what am I missing? What just happened? Did I miss another part of the announcement? No, they just said, hey, tonight, Rhea and Io versus Alexa and Charlie. And there was a lot of fans that just bursted out in a yes chant. They started losing their minds. What has happened to professional wrestling, man? Honestly, what has happened to pro wrestling, man? The fans are just these, quote, fans that show up and spend $20,000 for a ticket to yell and scream nonstop, no matter what is in front of them. That is just as big of a problem as the guy running this, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. You see, Helmsley has neutered the fans. That's what I really grasped last night. He didn't just neuter the talent. Hunter Hearst Helmsley has neutered the fans. So the fans that show up are literally trained. They're conditioned for this type of, quote, wrestling. So now whatever Helmsley books, this is the reaction he's going to get from the crowds that show up. The 0 to 12 demo, most of them. He's neutered the fans, man. Because there's nobody with common sense and logic in the 18 to 49 demo that's watching at home. And when that was announced, they're jumping off their sofa going, yes, yes, yes. And their significant other's like, what is it? What is it, Timmy? What's going on? They just made a matchup. Charlie and Alexa versus Rhea and Io. Well, that's it, Timmy? Yeah, what do you mean that's it? This is one of the biggest main events in history. Damn it, Sally, keep cooking my meatloaf. Who's losing their minds watching this? That's 18 to 49. That's still playing with a full deck, by the way. That's not mentally hindered anyway. That's actually watching with a full deck. Who's flipping out over this? You had people in attendance give WWE thousands of their dollars, probably go into debt to attend that event, and they're screaming at the top of their lungs, yes, 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 to watch 4 faces face each other. That was your opening segment. So you started off the first 16 minutes. The entire Q1 was dedicated just to set up a match between these 4 faces. And the final segment was the match itself. So that was a half an hour plus of your time. Your 150-minute Raw. Nearly 40 of that dedicated to this. So I'm like, all right, if this show's going to be epic, if there's something that Helmsley has up his sleeve, all right, well, that wasn't it, clearly, and the main event's not going to be it, clearly, so, all right, it's going to be in the middle of the show. Odd, but okay. Then we went into a Cena semi-final for his little stupid last time is now tournament. Still is exhausting. This whole tournament has been botched. Makes no sense. Miz has been in a couple of matches. He eliminated twice. It's even cursed, man. You had a couple of injuries in this thing. Your big surprises were, well, I don't even know. Dolph Ziggler. And who was the other one? Zachary Ryder, who said he would never be Zack Ryder. Matt Cardona, he's an indie god, whatever that means. I don't even, I don't know. King of the mid-carders? I don't know what that means. He's an indie god. He goes to all the bingo halls, basically. And then the second Helmsley gives him the call to sell out because he said he was never going to be Zack Ryder. He's like, I'll be Zack Ryder again. And that was your big surprises. Dolph from TNA and Zack Ryder from the Indies, the bingo holes. I don't know. And then you had, that was it. That's it. So anyway, you got this semifinal, LA Knight versus Jey Uso. Now listen, I was pretty sure there was no way under the sun Uso was losing this match. But LA Knight defeated Uso. It was via a roll-up. It couldn't be decisive. No, that would be... oh, that would be really pushing the hand of Helmsley. The fact that LA Knight went over on Uso probably was boiling Helmsley. Because he knew he had to have LA Knight win this match. There was no way LA Knight could lose this. The stakes were just too high for Knight. So he actually beat Ederman, man, via that roll-up. But I thought for sure, man, they were setting up Uso versus Gunther Part 18 at this point. So not only was this a huge welcoming surprise, but this was big for Knight. I understand he now goes on to lose to Gunther in the final, but he could not lose this match. His stock was already so low, and we were absolutely approaching the point of no return. Because, guys, listen to that neutered crowd last night. A lot of them were just like, oh, LA Knight, should we cheer for him? I mean, our savior Helmsley has not really gave us a reason to cheer for him, so I don't know if I should be. Until Helmsley says it's okay to cheer for LA Knight, I think I'll just put my hands down. That's what I mean about neutering his own fans, right? LA Knight has been booked. To say terrible would be a massive understatement. LA Knight has been booked to look like a below mid-carder. And so, the trained fans, these fanboys, this neutered fan base, they don't even know if they should be cheering for LA Knight. They don't have a reason to. He doesn't do fun things like yeet. How sad is that, man? So yeah, it was reaching the point of no return because even the neutered fans now, who would cheer for anything, they were going, okay, this guy's not that special. Helmsley told us he's not. Post-match, the camera stayed on Ederman, and I'm thinking, oh no, here comes 3 minutes of yeeting. Even as a loser, he's going to stand up and he's going to yeet. But instead, Uso flips out and he starts throwing Prime bottles and making weird animal noises. I don't even care if his character becomes a demented zebra. As long as there's no yeeting, we should all be grateful. But yeah, I guess it's a character change, I guess. Uso's finally going to get an attitude. Listen, if this means, I don't care if you call him a face or a heel, if this means, actually I do care, because in this company, Helmsley doesn't care. We have to care. But it's not like he would follow it anyway. But I need the yeeting to stop, man. This has gotten carried away. It's gotten to the point where even when they yeet now, there's no passion behind it. Like, at least for the first few months, everyone's like, yeah, we're eating. This is the thing to do. You can tell now, everybody just goes through the motions. So the yeeting has literally ran its course. So this is a really good time to, if you're going to do this character change, whatever it's going to be. But knowing Helmsley, he'll half-ass at it, right? There won't be a character change. We won't know what it is. It would be like Bayley. Remember Bayley was supposed to have this character change and they had all the vignettes and we were going, hey, this could be good. And then all of a sudden she just came back with she just came back as an idiot, I guess. Because nobody knows what her character is. It's not multiple personalities. It's not fun. She yells and then she's like calm and then she yells and then she slaps Lyra and then she hugs her. It's weird. And you could argue that Bayley's even worse now than before this supposed character change. But we have to stop the yeeting. No matter what's going on with Uso's character change, stop the yeeting. And I think he was getting frustrated anyway. There's no think he was, man. He couldn't handle this main event thing, man. We all know that. His own dad said he looked exhausted after he won that Rumble and had to start carrying that torch. And his own father, man, Rikishi, was like, dude, I've never seen him this exhausted. You saw it in his matches. He couldn't even jump over the top rope now. In fact, to this day, he doesn't even try. Some dudes were built for the actual main event. At least Jey Uso knows he was not. And that's okay, man. Some people were destined to be one of the best tag teams in the industry. And that's what the Usos are. Not were, still are. So just be that. Sometimes just be what you're meant to be. You tried something cool. They gave you a cool up. Cool. Sold a lot of shirts. Made a lot of extra cash. But the pressure was getting to Jey Uso, man. You guys see, recently, over the last 24 hours, he actually just, he's kind of furious with fans. I'll use the word furious. He is. He's pissed off at fans because just like a lot of these wrestlers, a lot of the fans are trying to come up and tap them and hug them and push them and try to grab at them. Just yesterday, man. The upload I put up yesterday, we started off with the Paul Heyman incident, pushing the kid because this kid ran out of nowhere, tried to hug Paul Heyman. I don't care if it's a kid or not, man. You can't do that, man. It's another human being. Leave your hands to yourself. But Jey Uso just posted something. It's like, please, you all, if you see me, don't poke me in the ass. He's like, don't touch me. He said, I don't know how much you all get poked in the ass every day, but for me, about 38 times. That was basically a quote from Jey Uso. So in other words, stop running up to Uso and poking him in the ass. He doesn't like to be poked in the ass. Don't poke Jey in his ass. So Jey has flipped out at the fans. You guys remember after he lost that match with Punk and Punk hoisted up that world championship. And Uso went on the social doohickey machine afterwards. And he said, y'all win, happy? And he flipped everybody off, man. The middle finger emoji. So this isn't the first time where Jey Uso let the emotion get the best of him. And the pressure was just too much. And he lashed out at fans. So maybe Helmsley realized we have to give him a little bit more of an edge because the pressure is like really starting to tweak this dude out. Liv Morgan promo was next with the Judgment Day. All's Liv says, good to see her back because she's freaking hot. But Liv Morgan just says, I'm back. And then she says, the Judgment Day once again runs Raw. The Judgment Day runs Raw. Slaps Dirty across his face and then jumps into Dirty's arms. So she's like, it's one of those like kinky relationships, right? It's a really physical relationship, I guess. I don't know what, okay. Good thing we spent 10 minutes on Liv Morgan telling us she's back, which we see you. So we know you're back. And then Judgment Day is going to run WWE once again in 2026. Well, they ran it into the ground in 2025. So yeah, or 2024, I should say. A little bit of a break this year. And now in 2026, we're going to run it back again. The same thing that was boring and stale in 2024. Let's bring it back for 2026. Oh, wow. I can't wait, said nobody ever. And then we actually had, man, yes, I'm going to say this. This was a good vignette played with Natty. This was in the dungeon, and it was all like cinematic. And Natty is beating the crap out of Maxi Pad Dupree in the dungeon. This was actually good. Perhaps, here's an idea. All right, but this is going to be BC using logic and common sense. So you might want to grab your coffees, your beverages, because this is going to be mind-blowing. You guys ready for this? Perhaps this should have been done before she beat Becky Lynch 3 times and, oh, I don't know, wins the IC title. A reason as to why maybe this could be believable with Maxi Pad Dupree. This would have at least gave us a little bit of insight as to why this may be believable. If we saw something like this for a few weeks, then we understand, as bad as Max is in the ring, and she's still so bad, the rest of the community is trained to say, she's improving. She's getting better, right? And you just put that on auto repeat. Just put it on repeat. And that's all we say every single time Max has a match for months and even years now. Okay, 2 years. Not BC. BC calls it right down the middle, but I'm not pulling back the punches, man. I'm being honest. She's just bad. She's still bad because she's unorthodox. She's not a naturally born pro wrestler. That's a problem. She doesn't have that it factor. That's a problem. There's no training that can give her that. But at least when she's in the ring, I can go, well, we know the character is she's tough. Tougher than the average, right? And we think back to the Natty. Those Natty vignettes. And her just beating on her. So no matter how bad the skills are, you talk about heart. You think back to the dungeon. So that maybe, I'm not saying I would throw an IC title on her. I'm not saying I would have her beat Becky 3 times like they did. But damn, at least you can go, well, I mean, look at what she's been through. She tough. No, we saw none of that. We just see Max Dupree beating Becky all the time, hoisting an IC title. And now we're seeing her get the crap kicked out of her in the dungeon. This is what I mean. This is what I mean about everything being so ass backwards in WWE. And just stick with the lady. Look at AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. First of all, it's supposed to be for the title because AJ hoisted the title at WrestlePalooza. And there you go. Seeds planted. Can't screw that up. But no, Maxi Pad jumps in, takes the title from Becky, and AJ's payoff is War Games. And Becky just taps out, so you don't need to see them again. But even going into War Games, why would AJ Lee agree to War Games before Becky's even in the match? Rhea just asked for a favor, and AJ's like, yeah, I love going to war. And she just jumps in. No reason for AJ Lee to be in War Games. And then Becky Lynch put herself into the match. Ass backwards. Wouldn't you want the heel Becky to be in there first? If done properly and you gave yourself enough time and you put the right effort into it, Becky would have been in, and AJ now just has to be in this match. Max wins a title out of nowhere, and then we see that she's putting in all the... Then we see the toughness, supposedly, of Max Dupree. Everything is ass backwards. And then AJ Styles and How to Train Your Dragon Ball Z Lee defeated The New Day. Sad to see what happened to The New Day, huh? This whole year. Wow. They won the titles at the top of the year or after Mania, something like that. And then they were just put in catering. Like most times when you win a title and then you're not seen for a while. It happened to AJ Styles and How to Train Your Dragon Ball Z Lee. They won the titles and you didn't see them for several weeks. Maxi Pad is gone with her title for a few weeks. For a lot of them, it's for a few months, like The New Day. But it was a cool finish because Kofi got the double stomp from the corner from Dragon Ball Z. And because Kofi is so athletic, he ricocheted off the top rope into a Styles Clash. Now everyone's going, oh, they got to utilize that more and more. That should be their finisher. Guys, it's because Kofi Kingston is so damn good. It's because Kofi is so athletic. And then after the match, this was backstage. It was like a segment later. AJ Styles and Dragon Ball Z, they come across Adam Pearce, and they ask for a match with the Viking Adventure Experience Expedition. The Vikings. And of course, Pearce grants them that because they don't have tag teams, right? So the ones they do, they don't want to put any effort into it. They don't want to build actual stories. So that's why, just like everything else, we just get random matches, nonstop. They just declared New Day versus Styles and Dragon Ball Z this week. They just declared it last week, and here is the match. This week, they just said, hey, we're going to set up the next team now for you. The Vikings. No thought, no effort, no reason to care. Just, hey, they happen to be a tag team. You're a tag. Let's have the match. And that's supposed to be exhilarating. That's enough for Helmsley to tell us we're going to get an epic show next week. Faces versus faces. AJ and Dragon Ball Z versus Vikings. Faces versus faces. Because, hey, that's pro wrestling, I guess, to Helmsley, man. You don't need reasons. You don't need actual stories. You don't have to care about any of this. You're just going to watch wrestlers wrestle. Then we have the Vision, middle of the ring. Paul Heyman announces Punk will defend his world title on Saturday night's main event against Braun Breaker. I don't think that's the December 13th Saturday night's main event. I think it's the January, maybe the 5th or the 6th. I believe it's that date for Punk and Breaker. Listen, I don't even know how you come to that conclusion, right? You could say, well, Breaker beat Punk at War Games, BC. Survivor Series. Yeah, but the whole thing was he didn't do it straight up, right? The Masked Man is the one that really took Punk out. And by the way, that whodunit, that wasn't even a big focal point of last night. That was the finish to Survivor Series. And it wasn't even a focal point, man. A couple of times, Adam Pearce mentioned it backstage. Yeah, we're still trying to find out. I know it looks like Seth Rollins, and but it just doesn't make sense. I'm trying to see where Rollins was at, and I'm like, what are we doing, man? Nobody thinks it's Seth Rollins. Didn't have his build, his height, nothing. People are like, it's Austin Theory, please. Who cares if it's Austin Theory? Some people are like, it's Montez Ford. I don't even know where that's coming from. Didn't even look like Montez Ford. It would make no sense imaginable for Montez Ford to be Montez. I don't even know what's happened. Some people are like, it could be Becky Lynch base. What are you guys talking about? Who cares? This is because Helmsley had nothing. He didn't have a good finish. So he just said, put somebody in a hoodie, do that. We'll sit on it for a few months, a real whodunit, and maybe I'll think about who it was later on down the line. That's what actually happened. Helmsley's like, I could make it Austin Theory. I could just wait until I declare that it was Seth Rollins. I could make it anybody I want, right? He just leaves it open-ended because he didn't have an actual finish. So we're all trying to figure out who it was. We're giving Helmsley too much credit. Helmsley doesn't even know who it is. He doesn't even know who, quote, attacked Jacob Fatu. Because you guys remember, that's already a whodunit. Right now, the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine is overworked. Inspector Gadget is going to retire from inspecting after all of these whodunits. It's too much! And Helmsley loves doing them. Helmsley loves this because he doesn't have to think about it in the moment. He can revisit it way down the line, if he wants to. You might never find out who attacked Jacob Fatu or who stomped CM Punk in War Games. We may never find out. Just like we still don't know why Brock Lesnar attacked Cody Rhodes and fought him for an entire summer a couple years ago. Or why Brock Lesnar attacked John Cena this year and had a match with it. Nobody knows, and we're never going to. No, he doesn't care, and he wants all of us to question none of it, because if we do, we're not real fans. And oh yeah, we can f*** off. So Breaker versus Punk. All right, listen. Breaker cut an amplified promo, man. The dude was so amped up. He slams the mic down and he storms out of the ring without the Vision. It was hilarious. I don't know if that was supposed to be or not, because Paul Heyman and Bronson and even Logan, they looked kind of caught off guard. Like, I think we're all supposed to, like, like, stay there for the hard cam for a little bit, 30 seconds, and then we all leave together. They were, like, stunned, so then, like, Paul just starts clapping and like, playing it off. Braun Breaker was so pumped up, he left without his group. It was absolutely hilarious. This dude needs nobody. This dude belongs with nobody. There's no question he's a future main eventer. He just has to be booked as such right now. And that's where you put no stock into Hunter Hearst Helmsley, unfortunately. Then we had a Cena tournament semifinal. Gunther defeats Solo Sikoa via Gunther Bomb. This took over 20 minutes and 3 commercial breaks. Over 20 minutes of complete and utter boredom. These are 2 heels. 2 heels. So for the first half of this match, even this dumbass crowd realized there's nobody you cheer for. After half the match, they finally just started cheering for Gunther, probably because Tala Tonga and the MFTs were beating up Gunther for the second half of the match. So yeah, get that, right? Makes sense, right? Heels beating up on other heels. Again, you got faces versus faces in the main event. You got Roman, Cody, and Punk all bickering at Survivor Series, and this neutered crowd is right there to slurp up the schnoz-man slop and then ask for seconds. This is horrible. What is Gunther? Helmsley has neutered the talent. We don't know what they are. They don't even know what they are. They don't know what they are character-wise. I don't even know what Gunther is anymore. The guy just comes down straight face, probably. That's not a character. He probably doesn't know what he's doing anymore. I'm taking on the ultimate face John Cena, or maybe an LA Knight, but I'm taking on Bronson Reed, and I'm taking on Solo Sikoa. I'm taking on a face one week. I'm taking on a heel another week. He doesn't know what he is. He doesn't know if he should slap 5 with a fan or flip him off. They don't even have the guy on the microphone anymore. Have you noticed? Like berating and degrading the fans like he used to do? No. It's like Helmsley's like, I haven't decided what I want to make you yet, so just go out there and be a tweener. It's Gunther, man. He's a diabolical heel, or at least he should be. Gunther should be one of the best heels we've seen in the industry, at least in the last 25 years. And instead, that probably scares Helmsley shitless because he doesn't want another big heel. He wants to be the last great heel in the industry. Stop. You got to build these dudes correctly. You have to build them first and foremost. But yeah, correctly, that would be nice. We don't even know what a Gunther is, man. This guy has been neutered. That's the word of this entire show. Neutered. The fans have been neutered. The talent has been neutered. The show is neutered. The company has been neutered by Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Heel versus heel for over 20 minutes. Heels. The MFTs beating up Gunther. What the heck does this lead to? This builds no sympathy. This doesn't make Gunther a face because by the time he now has to beat LA Knight, and then when he gets over to Cena, everyone's going to want to see Cena go over. No thought into this, man. These are just random matches with random wrestlers, man. Heels versus heels, faces versus faces. It's my new biggest pet peeve in WWE. Backstage, a feud is started between, and I use that very loosely, started between Logan Paul and Raymond Mysterio. How is this fun? We have seen this several times already. A tag match at WrestleMania 38. I think that was Miz and Logan going over Rey and Dominic Mysterio. But back at 38, we've already seen this in a tag match and the whole lead up to it. Then at Crown Jewel 2024, Paul defeated Rey for the U.S. title. And earlier this year, bro, top of the year, February, Paul beat Rey in an EC qualifier. And you're intrigued by this. We started the year off with it, and we're ending the year with it. We've seen it over the years several times. And BC is supposed to say what? This is awesome! It's pathetic! is watching this show going, oh man, Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio are going to have another match. Then we finally get into the main event of this epically bad Monday Night Raw. Faces versus faces. That's right, the MO of this company. Faces versus faces in the main event. Io and Rhea versus Charlie and Alexa. Helmsley can't help himself. He loves Rhea Ripley and Charlie Flair a little too much, so he has to keep them together even post-War Games, even if they have to face each other. It just hardens his tiny sledgehammer. Ripley with a massive botch in this match, and it was massive. She goes to lift up Charlie Flair like a razor's edge position, but she couldn't hold Charlie Flair. So they both just crumble. Her legs buckle and they both fall. Commentary tried to save it as best they could, selling War Games and how they're both everybody's just exhausted. But if you saw the match, I mean, you could have put this in a McDonald's playpen. It was not physical. You would hope Rhea Ripley can pick somebody up, but no, man. It made Rhea look so weak. Her character is supposed to be dominant, right? I mean, to watch her buckle and couldn't pick up Charlie, that was rough to watch. The Kabukis would interfere, and this slop fest finally came to an end. A DQ, or the match was thrown out. It doesn't even matter. I was just so happy that was finally done. Bayley and Lyra then come to the ring with no reaction. That was actually sad, but that's what happens when you book the talents the way Helmsley books them. I don't know what you guys are expecting, man. Bayley and Lyra, zero reaction at all. And then Raquel and Roxy come out, and the show ends with Liv Morgan holding up the arms of Raquel and Roxy. Credits pop up, Levesque McMahon, Lee Fitting, Artificial Intelligence, and the show goes off the air. That was literally the end of what was supposed to be an epic Monday Night Raw. It had BC, actually. I had to, go back and think, did I miss something? To say this is going to be epic, Helmsley must know that he has one thing. Because there's no way it's more than one thing. But he has one thing that's going to be, huge. And I'm going back on the show, and I'm like, okay, we started with the stupid 16 minutes of setting up the Faces vs. Faces main event. That was completely a waste of the start of the show. A waste of 16 minutes, but whatever. We ended the show with that main event. Another 20 minutes of slop. And all these females come down, and I guess I'm supposed to care about the tag division all of a sudden because of some weak-ass run-ins. So I'm like, okay, the top and the bottom of the show, that wasn't the epic part, clearly. That was filler nonsense. That was just bad. Middle of the show. Okay. Liv Morgan cut a promo saying Judgment Day is gonna run WWE again. Okay, that's not epic. Nice to see Liv Morgan in all her assets, though. Braun Breaker, hey, he cut a good promo on CM Punk. Amplified, at least. Not epic, clearly. So, okay, what else? Maxi Pad Dupree's getting beat up in the dungeon. Okay, well, it's a nice little 60-second vignette. That's obviously not epic. What am I missing? Oh, Gunther versus Solo Sikoa for 20 minutes. Heel versus heel. Clearly not epic. 20 seconds into the match, I could not wait for it to be over. LA Knight versus Jey Uso, face versus face, and LA Knight just squeaked by with a roll-up. Hey, at least LA Knight won. At least the yeeting was kept to a bare minimum. A roll-up pin on Yeaterman is not epic, though. Logan Paul started a feud again. He's restarting this thing with Raymond Mysterio. And that's supposed to excite us, I guess. I guess that's supposed to be epic. Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio for the 36th time. Oh, and by the way, that was the entire show. I just ran down all the segments. I'm missing what? AJ Styles and Dragon Ball Z defeated New Day. That was the whole show. That was the bait and switch. That was the selling point. You have to tune in tonight because this is from the booker himself, the head of content and creative. He said you got to tune in because Raw's going to be epic tonight. And it was literally, the word literally, I know we overuse it, but literally, it was the opposite of epic. If you're asking me, is this a missable Raw? More than. You'd have to pay me to ever watch this show again from top to bottom. You would have to pay me to do that. But I guess it's fitting. The whole year has been the worst creatively in WWE's history. So why stop now as December has begun? I guess we're going to keep this up. And in 2026, with Helmsley in charge, I don't think we can hope that this gets better. I think we have to now come to the realization that it's somehow going to be even worse in 2026 creatively for WWE. As long as Helmsley is in charge, he will continue to run this into the ground even further. It will continue to be even worse and worse by the week. And BC will be absolutely calling it out every single week until Helmsley is removed from that position and this company somehow gets better. We're going to put up that good fight, man, and the mission will continue. That was your Raw 12/1/25. What was supposed to be epic was a failure of epic proportions. Until next time, and there will be that next time. BC saying check you unit. Salute.